the Deeplight Shoals. You come down to the water at the hour when the sea has gone from blue to violet to the deep soft indigo. That means the day above has finished with itself and left the world to the tide. There is a wooden stair here, gray and salt-smoothed, leading down off the last rock into water so calm and so clear it hardly looks like water at all, more like a held breath, more like a window into somewhere warm and lit from within. You can set everything down on the top step. Whatever weight you carried down the long shore today, the sea will take it now, the way the sea takes everything gently and gives it back lighter, or does not give it back at all, which is sometimes the same kindness. You have come for a reason tonight, and it is a lovely one. Once each year, in the still turning of the warmest tide, the great coral in the deep of these shoals comes into bloom, opening slow as a sunrise and singing, they say, a low-ringing music that you feel more than hear. It only opens for someone the reef has invited, and this year, for the first time, the invitation has come to you. The reef-keeper, an old woman who tends the lanternfish down in the shoals, sent word up through the tide pools and the gulls and the slow talk of fishermen. The bloom is near. Come down when the water goes still. There is a light kept for you below. So here you are at the top of the salt-smooth stair, and the water is waiting, warm and clear and lit with a soft blue-green glow that seems to rise from the seabed itself. You step down into it, and it is warm, warmer than the night air, blood-warm, and it closes over you soft as a blanket, and here is the first gentle wonder of this place. You can breathe. The water moves in and out of you as easy as air, cool and sweet, tasting faintly of salt and of green growing things, and there is no fright in it at all, only the slow astonishment of finding that you were always able to, that the sea had simply been waiting for you to try. You breathe and you sink, slow as a feather in honey, down the last of the stair and off its bottom step into the open glowing water, and the surface closes over you like a door shutting softly on a warm room. A little way below, where the light gathers, a figure is waiting, holding a small round lantern of woven kelp with a lanternfish glowing gold inside it. The reef-keeper is old the way the tide is old, weathered and unbothered and kind, her white hair moving slow around her like seagrass, her clothes soft gray and green and drifting. When she sees you, she smiles, and her whole face folds into warmth, and she lifts the little lantern so its gold glow rests on you gently. There you are, she says, and her voice carries clear through the water, low and even and impossible to hurry near. You breathed on the first try. Not everyone does. That's how I knew the reef had truly asked for you. She turns unhurried, the lanternfish swimming its slow circle in the woven cage. The bloom's not open yet. We've the whole soft drift down to get there. Come. I'll take you the long, slow way, past all the best of it. She lets herself sink, and you sink beside her, and the two of you drift down together through water lit from everywhere and nowhere, warm and gold green and endlessly calm. The long, slow way winds gently downward, always down, and the shoals open and close around you like a slow green dream. First you drift through a forest of kelp, tall pale ribbons rising from the dark below to sway far overhead, each frond faintly luminous along its edge, so that the whole forest glows in soft moving lines, and small silver fish hang between the stalks like hung stars, parting without hurry as you pass and closing again behind. The reef-keeper trails a hand along a frond as she goes, and where she touches it, The light brightens and runs up the ribbon and out into the dark, a slow traveling glow, as though she were greeting each plant and each was answering. As you leave the kelp, a slow drift of soft bell-shaped jellies rises past you toward the far pale ceiling of the surface, each one no bigger than a lantern, translucent as blown glass, pulsing with a gentle inner light that fades from blue at the crown to gold at the trailing hem. They do not hurry and they do not mind you. They simply rise, opening and closing in their slow, patient way, a whole slow upward snowfall of light going the wrong way, up instead of down. And you hang there a moment and watch them go until the last of them is only a faint gold star far above. The reef-keeper waits, smiling, in no hurry at all. They ride the warm tide-up every night, she says, and drift back down by morning. The sea is always breathing something gently up or gently down. You've come on a good night for it. And you drift on after her, lighter for the watching. Then the kelp thins, and you come out over a wide plain of pale sand, gently rippled, glowing faintly from within, and here and there upon it sit great smooth stones furred with soft weed, and between them slow flat rays move like drifting cloaks, unbothered, ancient. One rises as you pass and turns a slow circle around the two of you, curious and gentle, its wings rippling like a slow flag, and then it settles back onto the sand and half buries itself and goes still, and the reef-keeper murmurs, "That one likes visitors. He always comes to see who the reef has asked down." You watch him settle, and something in the watching settles you too. Beyond the great stones, the sand gives way to a meadow of anemones, thousands of them, soft-stemmed and slow-swaying, each one crowned with a fan of gentle tendrils that glow at the tips like the wicks of 1,000 small candles, pink and pale gold and the tender green of new things. They lean toward you as you drift over them, not grasping, only leaning, the way a field of grass leans in a slow wind, and where your shadow passes they brighten, a slow wave of light following you across the meadow so that you seem to be trailing a soft dawn behind you. The reef-keeper lets you take your time here. The old ones call it the lamp-meadow, she says. It only lights for someone the reef has asked down. For most of the year it sleeps dark. You are giving it a good night. You drift on across the glowing field, unhurried, and the light follows you the whole slow way. And then, far off in the blue beyond the meadow, something vast and gentle moves, a slow whale gliding through the deep water with a grace that seems to belong to something much smaller and lighter, and it turns its great patient eye toward the two of you for a long moment, unbothered, incurious in the kindest way, and then it sounds a single low note that you feel roll through the water and through your chest like a warm hand laid flat, and it glides on into the dark and is gone. They come in from the deep on bloom nights, the reef-keeper murmurs, watching it go. To listen. They remember the singing from when they were small. Nobody down here is ever really alone. And you drift on, warmed, the whale's low note still humming somewhere under your ribs. The plain slopes gently down toward a low arch of rock, worn through by 10,000 years of patient tide, and as you drift beneath it the light changes, deepens, goes bluer, and here the reef begins in earnest, and it is the loveliest thing you have seen in a long while. And the loveliness of it asks nothing of you at all. The coral rises all around you now in slow towers and soft fans and rounded domes, and every surface of it glows, faintly, in colors you have no proper names for, the blue of the moment before dawn, the green of deep, still water, the soft rose of the inside of a shell. Between the towers, whole slow schools of lanternfish drift in loose golden clouds, lighting the coral canyons as they go, and where they pass the coral seems to lean toward them, waking a little, glowing a little brighter, and then dimming softly again into rest as they move on. There is a sound here, or something like a sound, a low even hum that you feel in your chest and in the bones of your hands, the reef breathing, the reef being alive very slowly in the dark. Rest a moment here, the reef-keeper says, and she shows you a great rounded dome of coral, soft with weed, hollowed on top into the shape of a low wide seat, and you settle into it, and it holds you, warm and yielding. And the reef-keeper hangs the little kelp lantern on a spur of coral nearby, so its gold glow pools around you both. For a while neither of you says anything, and the not saying is easy and warm, and you watch the lanternfish drift their slow clouds between the towers, and your breathing slows to the long, even rhythm of the water going in and out. After a while, a small round fish detaches itself from one of the golden clouds and comes to investigate you, a plump silver thing the size of 2 cupped hands, glowing softly along its belly, with large, calm, dark eyes. It hovers before your face, considering, its little fins working just enough to hold it still, and then, deciding, it drifts down and settles into the crook of your arm the way a cat settles into a lap, glowing there, a small warm light, and goes drowsy and still. The reef-keeper smiles, but does not remark on it. They pick a person on bloom night, she says only. It means the reef has taken to you. You can hold him while we wait. He'll not want to be set loose. So you hold the small glowing fish in the crook of your arm and feel the tiny even pulse of him, and it slows your own breathing further, the way the small drowsy things always do. While you rest, small unhurried wonders keep happening around you, the way they always do in a place that is fully alive and fully at peace. A slow procession of little glowing shrimp crosses the sand below in a single soft line, each one a tiny traveling light, going about some patient errand of their own. A curtain of tiny silverfish turns all at once, catching the reef's glow, and for a moment the water is full of soft falling sparks, and then they turn again and are only shadows, and then again and are light. High above, near the far-off surface you have half forgotten, the last of the day makes a pale wavering ceiling, moving slow, and the whole reef lies under it the way a sleeping town lies under a sky. None of it needs watching. All of it is glad to be watched. The reef-keeper begins, softly, to tell you the things the shoals know. How the coral was already ancient when the first stair was cut into the rock above. How the tide has come and gone so many times over the reef that the reef has stopped counting and simply sways. How the lanternfish are born from the reef's own light and return to it at the end, so that nothing down here is ever truly lost, only given back to the glow it came from. You do not need to remember any of it. It is the kind of telling meant only to be listened to, the way you listen to waves from far up the shore and let go of. She tells you, too, of the blooms she has tended. The year the whole reef opened at once in a single slow breath and lit the water so bright the fishermen above thought the moon had fallen in. The year a pod of slow whales came in from the deep to hang in the dark at the edge of the light and listen, huge and gentle and utterly still. The year the bloom opened so softly that no one was quite sure it had begun until they realized the whole sea was already singing. The small fish in your arm glows a little brighter as she speaks, as though he were listening too, and then dims and drowses, and you drowse a little with him. And then the reef-keeper goes quiet and lifts a hand and points, gently, down into the deep blue heart of the reef where the coral stands tallest, and says, "There. She's beginning." Watch now. Far below and all around, the great coral is starting to open. It begins as a deepening of the glow, a slow warming of the blue toward gold, and then, petal by unhurried petal, the vast fans and domes and towers of the reef unfold, opening like a whole field of flowers deciding all together, in no hurry whatsoever, to greet a sun that isn't there. And as they open, the singing rises, that low even hum swelling and softening and swelling again, a music you feel in your chest and your wrists and the soles of your feet, a slow ringing warmth that moves through the water and through you as though you were part of the reef, as though you had always been. The lanternfish gather from all across the shoals into one great slow golden cloud that circles the blooming coral, and the light of it pours up through the water, gold and rose and deep sea green, and washes over you where you rest. And the small fish in your arm glows in answer, and something in your chest that had been held all day, all week, all the long climb of your life, goes quietly and completely loose. The whale you saw far off comes back now, drawn by the singing, and hangs at the bright edge of the reef with 2 or 3 others of its kind, vast and dim and gentle, and they add their own low notes to the reef's song, so deep you feel them more in your chest than hear them. And the small fish in your arm thrums in answer, and the lanternfish will their slow gold circle, and for a while the whole sea seems to be one slow cord holding itself in the warm dark, and you are somewhere inside the middle of it, held and singing too, though you have not made a sound. The colors move over the reef the way weather moves over a country scene from very high up, unhurried, enormous, kind, a slow tide of rose giving way to gold giving way to that first light blue, over and over. And you could watch it turn for 100 years and never once feel you had to. You watch the reef bloom, and it is so slow and so bright and so entirely without any need of you that there is nothing left to do but rest inside it. The reef-keeper watches with a quiet, satisfied warmth, the look of someone who has seen a good thing arrive exactly as it should. "There," she says softly. "That's the bloom. Every year the same, and every year worth the drift down. Now the reef will want you to sleep, and it has made you a place." She rises slow from the coral seat and drifts only a little way to where the reef curves in on itself to make a hollow chamber, floored with the softest pale weed, walled by the glowing coral, roofed by the slow gold cloud of lanternfish turning overhead. You settle the small glowing fish into the weed, and he burrows and dims, content, and you lie down beside him in the soft warm dark, and the weed comes up gentle around you, and the water holds you from every side at once the way nothing on land can ever quite hold you, evenly, completely, so that you weigh nothing, so that you are held and floating both. The reef-keeper draws a coverlet of soft woven weed up over you, weightless in the water, warm with the reef's own low glow, and hangs the little kelp lantern where its gold is only a soft edge to the blue. "I'll be near," she says, settling onto the coral seat where you sat. "The reef keeps its own slow watch, and I keep the reef, and you've nothing at all to do now but let the water have you." And she dims the lanternfish in its cage lower, until it is only a small gold coal in the blue, and the reef softens and quiets around you, the singing sinking to a hum, the hum sinking to the slow even pulse of the tide. You feel the good heaviness come, the drowsy weight that means the body has agreed to rest, though here in the warm, held water it is less a weight than a letting go, a slow melting outward into the glow. The small fish breathes his tiny even pulse against your side. The coral dims petal by petal, the way it opened, in no hurry. The lanternfish cloud thins and drifts and settles back into the towers, taking its gold with it, one small light, and then another winking softly out. Your breathing goes slow and slower, matched to the tide, in with the reef and out with the reef. The singing is only a warmth now, far off and low, a lullaby the sea has been humming since long before you came and will hum long after you sleep. And the last thing you know, drifting, is the warm water holding you from every side, and the soft blue glow of the resting reef, and the small fish drowsing against you, and the reef-keeper near with her low gold lantern, and the slow far singing, and the knowledge, easy now and needing no holding at all, that you belong here, that a light was kept for you, that the reef will bloom and dim and bloom again whether you watch it or not, and that the salt-smooth stair will always be there, leading down into the warm-lit water whenever you should choose to come. Sleep now. The sea has you. The reef breathes its slow blue breath and will breathe it until morning, and the reef-keeper keeps her long soft watch, and the small fish will not want to be set loose, and the warm water will hold you evenly from every side all night long. There is nothing to reach for and nowhere to be. Only the held warm water and the slow dimming glow and the tide breathing you gently, endlessly down. Rest. The reef is singing low. A light is always kept. Rest.